When we hear his call, we hear no mere bird. We hear the trumpet and the orchestra of evolution. He is the symbol of our untamable past, of that incredible sweep of millennia which underlies and conditions the daily affairs of birds and men. It is dawn on the Platte River in Nebraska, and thousands of sandhill cranes have stopped to rest during their annual spring migration. Cranes are beloved for their beauty, their graceful dancing, their unison calls and dramatic migration. These special qualities have inspired a worldwide community of people who care about cranes and the places in which they live. Every year in South Asia, high in the mountains in the remote Himalayan kingdom of Bhutan, a special festival takes place.
Thousands of people walk in from neighboring valleys to the old temple built in the 16th century, and there in the courtyard, they sing, they dance, and they celebrate the existence and arrival of the black-necked cranes.
While revered by many cultures, cranes are among the most endangered bird families in the world. Urban expansion, habitat loss, dams and water diversions have pushed some crane species to the brink of extinction. Realizing the peril, Ron Sowie and George Archibald, two young ornithologists, founded the International Crane Foundation in 1973. On Sowie's family horse farm in Wisconsin, the two set out to study and breed cranes in captivity. Their goal, to create a species bank to hedge against extinction. Very little was known about cranes when they began. The young scientists pioneered techniques in crane breeding. Since then, the International Crane Foundation's vision has grown far beyond Baraboo, Wisconsin. ICF works globally, providing scientific knowledge, conservation leadership, and inspiration in the many places where cranes live. ICF believes that cranes can bring diverse people together, and together we can protect and restore the places cranes need to survive. Cranes live on 5 continents, but there is only one place where you can see all the cranes of the world, the International Crane Foundation. Behind the scenes, staff members work hard to keep the cranes healthy and happy. ICF invites experts and students from around the world to work with the team in Baraboo. They participate in field research, veterinary care, and help with outreach.
Watch them go after the crayfish. Yes, when they follow behind.
The cranes you see on an ICF tour are ambassadors for their species. They help tell the story of the problems and the solutions that many crane populations face in the wild. At the Whooping Crane exhibit, you will see the rarest crane and tallest flying bird in North America. In the early 1950s, there were just 21 whooping cranes left on the planet. Since then, the population has made a slow, fragile recovery. The last natural flock of whooping cranes migrates from Wood Buffalo National Park in northwest Canada to Aransas National Wildlife Refuge on the Gulf Coast of Texas. Birds that migrate here find ever-shrinking habitat. The Aransas wetlands depend heavily on fresh water from the Guadalupe River, which supplies water to millions of people throughout the basin. During a drought, fresh water seldom reaches the wetlands, raising salinity levels and reducing the crane's main food sources.
When we look at saving cranes, we're actually looking at saving landscapes, and that landscape has people in it. You know, I'm here because I want to live in this landscape. The question that we have to solve is how we do it sustainably.
To better manage fresh water in the region, ICF conducts research with the help of students.
So we work with the area researchers and universities to fund students to conduct research and also to learn about real-world situations and to be part of the change, because they will be tomorrow's professionals.
Collecting and sharing scientific information enables communities to make informed decisions about their wetlands and water resources.
Okay.
Saving a species from extinction is a daunting task. Despite their recovery, the last natural flock of whooping cranes remains endangered. The International Whooping Crane Recovery Team decided to establish a separate migratory wild flock. Eggs are hatched in incubators.
So they'll be checking out the sky.
Caretakers wear special costumes designed to hide the human form to prevent the birds from imprinting on people. Knowing they are cranes and not people helps them survive when they are released near wild cranes. Young birds learn the migration route by following older cranes south. ICF closely monitors the birds using radio and satellite telemetry. Some whooping cranes have radio transmitters attached to their legs and can be tracked from the ground.
So at the antenna, we can move it around and it'll give us a better direction. So the louder the signal, that's depending on where the antenna is pointing, that's the direction the bird is in. So right now this bird is over to our right.
The recovery is slow and steady, and the progress continues. The whooping crane symbolizes hope for endangered species worldwide. In northeastern China, drought and water diversions left protected crane marshes dangerously dry, threatening the cranes. The wetlands are essential for their breeding and migration. Momoga Reserve is the halfway point on the migration route for the critically endangered Siberian crane. Siberian cranes fly between their wintering grounds in China and their breeding grounds in Siberia. A 3,000-mile journey.
You take a country with a huge number of people and a strong pressure for growing more food, it's a real challenge to put into practice. And so part of what we've been doing is working with some very good Chinese hydrologists who are learning what it takes in terms of water to have a healthy wetland.
ICF supported new approaches to water planning for several wetland reserves. These plans led the government to restore water to Momoga. ICF's work at Momoga has changed thinking about water planning across the region. Around the world, ICF leads the search for sustainable water solutions for important wetlands. Part of saving vital wetlands depends upon finding sustainable livelihoods for the people who share the land with cranes. ICF Research Associate Jimmy Muhibwa leads conservation programs for endangered gray crown cranes in Uganda. As in China, efforts to help these birds center around protecting and restoring the wetlands that they live in.
Some 20 years back, that wetland was completely decimated by the communities because there was a lot of pressure for land.
ICF demonstrated alternative uses for wetlands that help provide vital income to local communities. Jimmy persuaded farmers to restore parts of the wetland in southwestern Uganda. He provided goats to villagers to encourage them to join the restoration effort. Healthy wetlands improve their livelihoods. They now actively replant the wetlands, and both wildlife and people benefit.
So we planted papyrus around the river, and eventually the river started flooding. When they started flooding, then more wetlands started coming up.
Locals sustainably harvest papyrus to make crafts that they sell for income.
Our restoration programs have led to the regrowth and reestablishment of more than 80 hectares of the wetland.
ICF's work around the world improves local livelihoods and landscapes. As the sun sets on the Platte River in springtime, the sandhills settle in to roost. Observing the spectacle, it is easy to understand why cranes inspire people to protect and restore the places cranes and so many other species, including us, need to survive. Cranes are symbols of survival, long life, and good fortune. But most important, cranes are symbols of all that is wild and free.
Hi, I'm Rich Belfast, President and CEO of the International Crane Foundation. As you explore our site today, remember that each of us has a part to play in the close relationship between cranes, ourselves, and the natural systems on which all life depends. At ICF, we believe in people because people together can make a difference. I hope you'll make a difference and join the International Crane Foundation today.